So here we have a 2006 Corvette C6 chassis. We are taking this chassis and basically turning it into a complete pro drift car. It's going to run in FD Pro Spec, so we are building it to that rulebook, but the customer is also going to use it for any other series going forward. So I'm going to go over with you all the electrical components, all the devices we're putting in the car, show you the wiring harness and how we basically plan that out.
As you know, these Corvettes come in as a bare shell. We get the roll cages installed in them. We do all the fabrication and installation of our parts on these cars, up to a turnkey drift car. So that's what this will be for this client. Let's just start right away at the front of the car. I wrote down a little list so I don't forget. As we can see, you got a bash bar fabbed up for this thing. These are cool because you can jack the car up from these bash bars from this jack point and tow the car, and it has a nice FTF badge. It's a good package. Sway bar, it uses 1.25" chromoly tube in there and custom mounts and everything. Got the rack relocation plate with the BMW rack. Missing the stock rack, which would usually go here.
We've got our LSX engine in the front. This is actually the OG LSX engine that Josiah put in the S14. So the customer who bought that car took the engine out of it because it's getting another refresh, and this is going to that customer also. So this is a refreshed one of the S14 in this Corvette. Welcome back to FDF. We also have a brake bias setup that Josiah's running in the Corvette. We're running also the clutch master cylinder reservoir up here, which is a little different. We're prototyping a new Corvette remote master cylinder kit to go into the factory system, so that's on this car also. We have up front a new power steering system we're going to try. This is out of a Dodge Durango power steering pump with a Dodge Charger reservoir on it. Output of this pump is a lot higher than, say, like the Volvo pump. Read a lot of good reviews on it. We have a microcontroller for it that we're going to have in the car here that will also control it. It'll be its own standalone thing, so we'll also have that on the website for you guys to get. We're working with Reform Motorsports to help us with that controller for that. Also up front, we have our AccuSump system. So this is going to be a wet sump motor. We opted to not do dry sump. So it'll keep things a lot simpler, a lot cleaner, a lot easier if you need to change an engine. It'll be simply unbolt the oil cooler bracket on the side, engine comes out. The oil cooler will also, we're prototyping a new mount in the fender for the oil cooler, so nothing stays up front. One of the things we noticed when we were in Europe on the Eurocar during the Poland accident, the oil cooler got ripped off, and if we had had a 5-minute fix, it would have been longer than 5 minutes to fix the oil cooler. So we're trying to keep everything away from the front of the car and keep everything to the side and close to the engine as possible. So in the event of an accident, you can fix it in 5 minutes. We'll also run another PMU ECU master up here in the corner here to run all of our front electronics. And you can see the rope harness that we have in here. So there's about 120 feet of paracord running through the car, which this basically lays out all our lengths for the wiring harness, where all the devices are going to land. So later this afternoon, I'm going to pull this all back out now that I've mapped out where all the devices go. We'll lay it out, draw out the diagram for how long the harness needs to be, and start building the harness. Of course, because this customer wants the best of the best, it's all going to be with TEF cell wire and mil-spec connectors throughout the whole chassis.
So we got some body panels installed. As you can see, they're stock body panels. We're waiting on the HGK body kit coming from Latvia. These are just placeholders in that time. I got some stock doors, fenders, quarters, just to get me aligned when fitting the existing HGK parts like the rocker panels. I have the HGK dashboard fitted in here. It's a beautiful piece. It fits exceptionally well, and I think it's going to complement the interior very well with our D&D bucket seats. What I've done on the inside here is a lot of the fab work. We can start off with this shifter boot cover. It has a race quip fire resistant boot. That's important for FD. But the neat thing about this cover is that it's quick release. You can quickly take this off, and then there's a large access hole for the transmission. The input shaft of this transmission is around 10 inches long, and this space allows you to slide the transmission back all the way to clear the bell housing and then drop it straight down. This was all hand fabbed by myself. I don't know if you can see all the way down in here, but it extends all the way under the dash. It's a lot of plate work. It raises the transmission tunnel 1.5 inches and extends it. That allows room for the front transmission, the GSR 4-speed transmission. Otherwise, it would not fit in this car. As you can see here, we have our tunnel box that we've covered before. It was also hand fabricated by myself. That was to fit the reverse mount starter, but we've changed plans to a normal starter. But this is awesome because it allows a ton of room for exhaust, lines, anything you want under there. Getting your mitts change clutches very easily. It's awesome to have that much space. And you still have a lot of leg room for the passenger. I also have a smaller version of this box on the driver's side to allow more tunnel clearance. I mounted the handbrake. This is an FDF handbrake. Beautiful machine handle from Dylan. We have it mounted in this car. This is special because we have it all custom mounted. There's no bolt-on kit for this custom tunnel that I did. So it is angled towards the driver. It's in a good spot. It doesn't hit the shift knob when you put the GSR in reverse. And yeah, nice and close to the steering wheel. Beautiful piece. Let's move to the back. Oh wait, I forgot one thing. The passenger side floorboard is really neat. It has a tunnel for all the lines. Instead of running all the fuel lines and coolant lines and fire suppression lines through the transmission tunnel and having a clutter when you're servicing the car, it's gonna go through there. And it's gonna make everything so much cleaner and so much easier to service.
So now that we're in the car, I'm gonna show you where we're gonna plan to put some of these electronic devices. The keypad is the thing that I've seen lots of people try different areas. Some people have had it at the side here. Once you're wearing a helmet, halo, it's kind of hard to see the buttons. I've seen some people put them on the dash, but then the chance of you accidentally smashing the button while you're shifting gears, your hand slips, whatever, there's some critical buttons on here that might shut the car off. So for this car, we're gonna plan to put it in the roof. This is very popular with drag cars, and I've seen lots of people really love this solution. It's nice, right in your field of view, doesn't block any view, but it's easy to reach and touch the buttons. So we're gonna put those up there. The fighter jet switch also, so this will be our main on, and then all of our functions will be controlled through this keypad. We also have our, what I call our always on circuit. So this will be on the side here. This always on circuit will give you power to things like cameras, to the radio. So if anything happens with the PMU, the computers, the car shuts off and dies, at least you still have your radio, the cameras will still be rolling, and it's not reliant on a circuit that is tied to a PMU. And pretty much every series that you're going to run in, they allow for about a 10 to 15 amp always on circuit. So that'll be this. We'll also have our work lights on here. So these will be able to turn on if the car's off. That way you can work on it at night, not have the car on. So we'll have this down here. Not really in the way, but it's not super easy to see, but you don't need to when you're driving. For our e-stop, we're gonna have it up here in the driver's A-pillar. Easy for the marshals to get to, nice tactile feel to it, nice billet aluminum button, so that'll be up here, along with your fire pole as per the rules. Then we're gonna show you what we're gonna do for screens. Now I did say screens, because we're having more than one. So our first screen is gonna be the Haltech IC7. This basically will only display RPM and shift lights across the front. There isn't really any more information you're gonna wanna see on this. You just wanna be able to see an immediate RPM and basically, am I at rev limit or not? You're not really looking at any of this information when you're racing, whether it's drifting, sprint racing, any kind of racing. You just want a quick flash indicator if there's an error or you're at rev line. Then we'll have the UC10 screen. So this screen, beautiful screen by Haltech. This one will sit in the center console. And this one will be flash big red if you have a warning, engine's overheating. This will be nice right in front in your field of view. It is a little bit blocked by the e-brake, but again, when you're racing, you don't really care. But when you come off track, you immediately want to see what's my fuel level at? What's my engine coolant temperature at? What's my engine oil temperature at? All that kind of information will be displayed here on this screen in the center. Haltech's also said that they'll have a camera function in this later, so also we'll be able to put a camera in this later on. So if you want to see the guy behind you, it can display that too. Just really cool features that the Haltech devices offer. So the customer said, I asked them if they wanted all the screens and they said yes. So here we are, all the screens. So also in the car, we're gonna do a 12-volt accessory in the front and the back. Like I said, that'll be our always on circuit because we always wanna have cameras in the car and everyone can always use an extra 12-volt circuit. Radio will be mounted down here, again, on the always on circuit.
I mounted the fire suppression bottle right here. On stock Corvettes, it has this big fiberglass tub and then sheet metal that covers all this stuff. We here at FDF actually took all of the sheet metal. This is usually all covered. We cut that all out. That way we can utilize this space for important things like fire suppression. Deep down in there, I have the water pump. That's gonna run our lines through that tunnel that I just talked about. Radiator and expansion tank. So this is a CSF radiator and a spall shroud. It is mounted to our custom FDF crash structure. This is really strong alloy steel. This is gonna stay rigid in an impact. You know, you're dragging the wall, you're filling zones in these cars. You want this thing to be strong. It's gonna protect this radiator. And that is very sturdily mounted. We have mounted our line to go to our reservoir. That is very cleanly done with the help of Rain Watson. He welded that up and made this bracket to mount this coolant overflow tank. I think this turned out to be one of like the cleanest installs of a reservoir tank. Use -10 line to go to the radiator. This HDK inner fender is neat because it covers the wheel well. Usually all this would be exposed. This is not like a unibody car where this is all sheet metal. So this replaces the original trunk skin that was in here before, and it goes neatly. We cut a hole in here neatly to go around the cage, not allow too much smoke. I mean, once the firewall's in, there's not gonna be any smoke in the cabin anyways, but yeah, that's gonna be buttoned up soon. Otherwise, chugging along just good. Next thing I'd like to see is headlights and taillights in this car, and we'll move on to the plumbing next.
Nuke is providing us with our fuel system all in the back here. On the firewall, we're gonna have one of these ECU Master PMU 16 Auto Sports. We'll have one of these in the front, one of these in the back. The total current this car is gonna draw with all the devices in it is gonna be around just over 300 amps. So for that reason, we have to use 2 PMUs. Each wheel well is gonna get its own work light. So in the cabin, we'll have a small switch panel that will have work light mode. So when you're at the track, you gotta do a hot swap, night racing, the whole underside of the car will light up so you can work on the car, which I found when we were working on Josiah's in Europe would have been super handy. You're racing all day, then at night you're working on it, you can't see anything, so I feel like that'll be a nice add for this customer. That pretty much wraps up all the components and devices, electrical side that we're doing on this car. We're hoping to have this done in about 2 weeks. We're just starting the wiring harness now. This project should be starting running on the dyno in a few weeks. Can't wait to see the kind of power it'll put out, get it seen on the track.